Am I audible, Ronnie?
Anji.
Krishna Padaya Krishna Pashaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Krishna Pashaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sukhevadini Sastre Jate Deshakari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Gurudev 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev God से मनंदो हरि
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, थैंक यू माता जी। ये करताल आप ही बजा रहे थे माता जी?
एक बार मैंने बजाई थी, आज शिवानी बजा रही थी। बजा लेती हूँ मैं भी वैसे साथ साथ।
वंडरफुल, थैंक यू माता जी। हरे कृष्णा एंड प्रणाम डियर डिवोटीज। सो आप सब लोगों का हमारे नित्य भागवत सेशन में स्वागत है। और आज जो है हम ट्राई करेंगे दो चीजें करने की। आज थोड़ा सा स्पेशल डे है, सो वी विल रीड समथिंग फ्रॉम हियर, समथिंग अबाउट द बुक भागवत ऑल्सो। बुक भागवत भी पढ़ेंगे और थोड़ा सा जो पर्सन भागवत है थोड़ा सा उनके बारे में सुनेंगे और पाएंगे कि पर्सन भागवत की लाइफ कैसे होती है और किस तरह से हाँ कृष्ण भक्ति में आके एकदम एकदम स्मूथ हो जाएगी। हाँ, पर जब आते हैं थोड़े टाइम के बाद दिखता है कि स्मूथ नहीं हो रही है। सो देन यू नो वी कैन टेक वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट लेसन्स फ्रॉम द डिवोटीज ऑफ द लॉर्ड। सो we'll begin our session now. We have to see the game first. और यहाँ पर जीत माता जी is writing what is the meaning of मुकुंद। Okay, so मुकुंद means जो मुक्ति देते हैं माता जी, इसलिए भगवान कृष्ण का नाम मुकुंद है, जो मुक्ति देते हैं। तो मुक्ति सिर्फ भगवान दे सकते हैं। मुक्ति जो है वो कोई भी डेमीगॉड्स इंक्लूडिंग लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा, लॉर्ड शिवा कैन नॉट गिव मुक्ति। तो इसीलिए भगवान का एक नाम मुकुंद है। ओके, वी आर 14 and only 7 have participated. ओके, अतुल प्रभु, अच्छा, अंकुर प्रभु भी आ गए हैं टॉप के ऊपर। वेरी नाइस। सो अंकुर प्रभु, अच्छा, ये वेदांश है। ओके, देन गिरिराज दास, देन आनंद विलासिनी माता जी, देन जीत माता जी, और दैट्स व्हाई शी आस्क्ड दैट क्वेश्चन। अनुपमा माता जी, अंशी माता जी। ओके, सो बाकी भी जो 7 सप्तऋषियों ने कर दी और जो बाकी सप्तऋषि रह गए हैं उनसे भी प्रार्थना करते हैं कि आप भी भक्त इतनी मेहनत से आप लोगों के लिए क्विज बना रहे हैं तो उसमें थोड़ा सा पार्टिसिपेट करिए। एंड दीज आर वेरी नाइस रिवीजन एक्सरसाइजेस। और सो विल बिगिन आवर सेशन नाउ। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। और give me 1 second, Prabhu. Let me show. Okay. Okay. Ronnie Prabhu, I want to send you something. I want to send the Kindle bookmark. Abhi Kindle bookmark change ho gaye because now on the Kindle app it is not showing bookmarks as a heading. It is, I can't see. On the Kindle app, can you tell me how to, like I made 3, 4, 5 bookmarks. जो लास्ट वाले 2 हैं वो तो आ रहे हैं, उससे पहले वाले how to go?
There is an icon there on the top, like a book.
वो तो कुछ और ही है. अच्छा वो बुकमार्क का ही है. Oh.
Once you go there and then
आ गए. Okay प्रभु जी, got it. हाँ. One second. $762. So I will. Can I send you the bookmark list and you can open? You can see कि उनमें क्या होगा. नहीं, you can't see from Vedabase, है ना? So
I can browse and see them from the bookmark.
But you can't see my bookmarks, na?
Yes, that I can.
Okay. Let me give you first 2 bookmarks देता हूँ from where to start and end. तो फिर वहां से पढ़ सकेंगे.
It is Lilamrit.
It is Lilamrit.
So you can log in to read.amazon on browser and share your screen, and there you will find all the bookmarks.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Like this. So what is this?
I can't find where I ended the bookmark. Okay, Prabhu. So this is the first bookmark I sent you. आप वेदाबेस पे खोल लेना, फिर देखते हैं प्रभु जी वहाँ कैसे चलते हैं. I can't find the other bookmarks. I made many of them. आप इसको वेदाबेस पे ढूंढ लेना प्रभु जी. वेदाबेस पे पढ़ लेंगे. Okay. Open the Bhagavatam प्रभु. So आज का सेशन हमारा 1 घंटे का होगा. So प्लीज टॉलरेट. और जिनको जल्दी है फिर वो जा सकते हैं, बट हम लोग 1 घंटे के लिए पढ़ेंगे आज. विल सी एंड आई विल टेल यू व्हाई द डे इज सो स्पेशल. सो भागवतम से हम शुरुआत करते हैं. 1, 12, 13. वाह. 1, 12, 13. ओके. तस्य प्रीता मना राजा विप्रेधौम्य कृपाधिभिः जातकम कारयाम आशा वाच्यत्वाचा मंगलम. Translation and prepared by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Okay. 1 second. King Yudhishthir, who was very satisfied with the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, had the purificatory process of birth performed. Learned Brahmins, headed by Dhaumya and Kripa, recited auspicious hymns. हाँ, तो ये कल आप सबने पढ़ा होगा किस तरह से अब जो है ये जो चैप्टर है, इट स्पीक्स अबाउट द बर्थ ऑफ महाराज परीक्षित. और तो आपने इससे पहले पढ़ा होगा कैसे जो भगवान है वो उत्तरा के गर्भ के अंदर परीक्षित की रक्षा करते हैं. और उसके बाद जो है अब ये जो सारे जितने भी नक्षत्र हैं, दे ऑल कम इन द राइट वे टू वेलकम सच ए एलिवेट पर्सनैलिटी हु इज गोइंग टू टेक बर्थ. एंड तो उसके बाद का ये श्लोक है कि जो महाराज युधिष्ठिर है, सो ही वाज वेरी सेटिस्फाइड विद द बर्थ प्रीत मना. He was very satisfied. The unique word प्रीत मना. एंड हैड जो भी उनके संस्कार होते हैं बच्चे के वो सारे उन्होंने किए. जातकम मीन्स जितने भी जात कर्म के बर्थ के संस्कार होते हैं वो किए. और जितने भी ब्राह्मण वैष्णव हैं उन सब ने वेदों से अलग अलग जो है श्लोक पढ़े. Purport. There is a need for a good and intelligent class of brahmanas who are expert in performing purificatory processes prescribed in the system of varnashra dharma. देखिए अब क्योंकि उसमें ऊपर बात चल रही है कि वो जात कर्म के सारे वो संस्कार किए, तो यहाँ पर प्रभुपाद लिख रहे हैं सबसे ऊपर इसी बात के ऊपर कि ऐसे ब्राह्मणों की आवश्यकता है जो संस्कार जो है ठीक से कर सके. क्योंकि वर्णाश्रम धर्म का मतलब है कि जो जितने भी संस्कार हैं, मेन 11 संस्कार हैं गर्भोधारण से लेके अंतिम संस्कार तक, कि दे शुड बी डन इन ए प्रॉपर मैनर सो दैट द सोल गेट better and better opportunity to go back to Godhead. That is the purpose, to elevate a soul more and more. Like this. Okay. Unless such purificatory processes are performed, there is no possibility of good population. And in the age of Kali, the population all over the world is of Shudra quality or lower for want of this purificatory process. It is not possible, however, to revive the Vedic process of purification in this age for want of proper facilities and good Brahmins. But there is a Pancharatric system also recommended for this age. The Pancharatric system acts on the Shudra class of men, supposedly the population of the Kali Yuga, and it is the prescribed purificatory process suitable to the age and time. Such a purificatory process is allowed only for the spiritual upliftment man and not for any other purpose. Spiritual upliftment is never conditioned by higher or lower parentage. तो अब यह है जो प्रभुपाद एक इम्पॉर्टेंट इसमें बता रहे हैं कि किस तरह से कि जो संस्कार हैं विभिन्न संस्कार कि उनको करना बहुत ज़रूरत है अगर हम एक ह्यूमन लाइफ जीना चाहते हैं या जीने की आशा करते हैं. सो देन वर्णाश्रम इज द बेस ऑफ दैट होल थिंग. ये आप सुनते हैं कि प्रीतिवदन महाराज बहुत बोलते हैं, इज वेरी स्ट्रांगली प्रोपेगेट्स कि वर्णाश्रम धर्म को स्थापित करना चाहिए. और इस्कॉन में भी सब लोग इस बात को मानते हैं कि वर्णाश्रम धर्म, प्रभुपाद सेड बिफोर लिविंग कि one of the 50% of job is still left because he wanted to establish varnashram dharma. So varnashram dharma means कि वर्ण और आश्रम के आधारण के ऊपर कि ब्रह्मचारी, गृहस्थ, वानप्रस्थ, सन्यासी और ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य और शूद्र. तो ये एक वर्ण और जो दूसरा है आश्रम की गृहस्थ आश्रम, ब्रह्मचारी आश्रम, वानप्रस्थ आश्रम एंड संन्यास आश्रम. सो ऑल ऑफ देम आर आश्रम. और प्रभुपाद इसमें कह रहे हैं कि जो हमारी विधि है वो विधि किस चीज की है. सो व्हाट टू डू, क्योंकि अब जो भी करना था संस्कार वो तो हुए नहीं. सबसे पहले गर्भधारण संस्कार ही नहीं हुआ, तो फिर हाउ टू रिवाइव द वैदिक प्रोसेस ऑफ प्यूरिफिकेशन. तो प्रभुपाद कहते हैं कि उसके लिए हमारे पास जो सिस्टम वी फॉलो इन इस्कॉन इज पंचरात्रिक सिस्टम. सो पंचरात्रिक विधि, थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में जानना चाहिए कि जो इस्कॉन के अंदर ये भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर द्वारा रचित है कि जो भक्ति का मार्ग है 2 मार्ग पे चलता है, एक विधि मार्ग और एक राग मार्ग। जो भागवतम विधि है, हाँ, दैट इज अ विधि ऑफ श्रवणम, कीर्तनम, विष्णु स्मरणम, पासेवनम, अर्चनम, वंदनम, साख्यम, दास्यम, आत्मनिवेदनम। सो ये जो है 9 जो अंग हैं भक्ति के, सो दे आर इन इटसेल्फ, all of them can take us back to Godhead. There is no need for anything else. But पंचरात्रिक विधि और जो विधि मार्ग जिसको बोला जाता है, so this is the mark of अर्चना, how to worship the Lord, like this. तो दोनों पे ही गाड़ी जो है, इस्कॉन में हमारी जो गाड़ी चलती है दोनों मार्ग पे चलती है, राग मार्ग और विधि मार्ग, एंड विधि मार्ग जो है that is primarily Pancharatrik. So without getting into too many details, I can just tell you that Pancharatra means, Panch means 5, Ratra means night. So once upon a time, there were 2 demons, Madhu and Canto, they stole all the Vedic knowledge from Lord Brahma. So then Lord Narayan had to teach Lord Brahma again. So which he did in 5 nights only. 5 रात्रि के अंदर, 5 रातों में उन्होंने, भगवान नारायण ने ब्रह्मा जी को पूरी वैदिक नॉलेज दोबारा दे दी। तो ये टोटल है वो 108 पंचरात्र है। इससे अलग अलग उपनिषद हैं, अलग अलग पुराना है, उस तरह से अलग अलग पंचरात्र है। तो हम लोग जो फॉलो करते हैं, वी फॉलो नारद पंचरात्र। सो जो नारद पंचरात्र है, इट इज डिवाइडेड इन 5 ways. So one is the Abhigaman, preliminary activities, which means waking up early in the morning, praying obeisances to one's spiritual master, cleaning one's body, putting tilak, fresh clothes, performing Achaman, reciting Gayatri, etc. This is the Abhigaman, preliminary activities, which have to be done in the early morning time. Then Upadhamanam. So it means collecting things, whatever is required for the worship. And then third is a yoga, which means linking our mind with the spiritual, with the Supreme Lord by reciting Bhutashuddhi prayers. There are some Bhutashuddhi prayers, which help us to understand our identity as a eternal servant of Lord. And then there is Ijya, or the actual worship by the 16 उपचार, अलग अलग जो आइटम आप देखते हैं, तो उनसे जो है भगवान की जो है अर्चना होती है. और another last 5th part is a स्वाध्याय, पर्सनल मेडिटेशन. और स्वाध्याय दोनों ही चीजों में ले सकते हैं, एक की शास्त्रों को पढ़ना और दूसरा जो भी भक्ति के अंग हैं जैसे श्रवण कीर्तन उनको करना. सो लाइक दिस. सो भागवतम, जब हम भागवतम पढ़ते हैं, सो भागवतम डजंट एनकरेज एनी अदर वे. सो भागवतम टेल्स आप श्रवणम कीर्तनम विष्णु स्मरणम, ये जो 9 अंग हैं, बस दीज आर इनफ, no need for anything else. But acharyas have told us कि because in Kali Yuga we are so fallen, तो अगर हम deity worship करते हैं, so then it elevates our consciousness. It helps us to come to the mode of Satoguna. It helps us establish a personal relationship with Krishna. So it is a very good process by which even if one is born devoid of any sanskar, and technically all of us are Shudras, so what to do? Follow the Pancharatrik Vidhi. So it elevates our consciousness. Vedic Vidhi we cannot follow, because Vedic Vidhi means you have to be born in a family of a Brahman. Then only you can follow. And Brahman means Garbhodharan Sanskar should be done, everything should be done properly, and then born in a, then only you can follow the Vedic way, otherwise you cannot follow. So then this is the alternate way with given for the fallen souls of Kali Yuga, Pancharatrik Vidhi. तो जितने भी टेम्पल्स में हमारे मंदिर में जो अर्चना होती है, that is based upon Pancharatrik Vidhi. So I thought it's a good, we can speak upon this for a little while. After the Garbhodharan purificatory process, there are certain other sanskars like Simantonayan, Sadbhakshanam, etc. during the period of pregnancy, and when the child is born. First purificatory process is Jat Karma. This was performed duly by Maharaj Yudhishthir with the help of good and learned Brahmins like Dhaumya, the royal priest, and Kripacharya, who was not only a priest but also a great general. Both these learned and perfect priests, assisted by other good Brahmins, were employed by Maharaj Yudhishthir to perform the ceremony. Therefore, all the sanskars, purificatory processes, are not mere formalities or social functions only, but they are all for practical purpose and can be successfully performed by expert Brahmins like Dhaumya and Kripa. Such Brahmins are not only rare, but also not available in this age. And therefore, for the purpose of spiritual upliftment in this fallen age, the Goswamis prefer purificatory process under the Pancharatrik formula of the Vedic rites. So Pancharatras are also part of Vedas, but they are a special section, and especially for those who are born in Shudra. So, which means all of us, whether we are born in a so-called Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya family, because किसी का गर्भोधारण संस्कार or other संस्कार नहीं हुए, so then one is born. Technically, everybody is born Shudra, और ये शास्त्र भी बताते हैं कि कलयुग में everybody is born Shudra. तो इसलिए so we follow the path of Pancharatric formula. कृपाचार्य, अब वो बता रहे हैं उनके बारे में कि कौन है कृपाचार्य, कौन है. Kripacharya is the son of great rishi Sardban and was born in the family of Gautam. The birth is said to be accidental. By chance, the great rishi Sardban met Janpadi, a famous society girl of heaven, which means Apsara. Prabhupada Apsara ko English में translate करते हैं society girl, like this. I find it always very humorous how Prabhupada translates this word. Apsara as a society girl of heaven. And the rishi Sardban discharged semen in two parts. One part immediately a male child, and by other part a female child was born as twins. The male child was later known as Kripa, and the female child was known as Kripi. Maharaj Shantanu, while engaged in chase in the jungle, picked up the children and brought them up to the Brahmanical status by proper purificatory process. Kripacharya later became a great general like Dronacharya, and his sister was married to Dronacharya. Kripacharya later on took part in the battle of Kurukshetra and joined the party of Duryodhana. Kripacharya helped Abhimanyu, the father of Maharaj Parikshit, but was still held in esteem. Kripacharya helped to kill Abhimanyu, the father of Maharaj Parikshit, but he was still held in esteem by the family of the Pandavas due to his being a great Brahman as Dronacharya. When the Pandavas were sent to the forest after being defeated in the gambling game with Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra entrusted the Pandavas to Kripacharya for guidance. After the end of the battle, Kripacharya again became a member of the royal assembly, and he was called during the birth of Maharaj Parikshit for recitation of auspicious Vedic hymns to make ceremony successful. Maharaj Yudhishthir, while quitting the palace for his great departure to the Himalayas, entrusted Kripacharya with Maharaj Parikshit as his disciple. And he left home satisfied because of Kripacharya's taking charge of Maharaj Parikshit. The great administrators, kings and emperors were always under the guidance of learned Brahmins like Kripacharya, and thus were able to act properly in the discharge of political responsibilities. So we can see the character of Pandavas, Maharaj Yudhishthir, and also the character of the Brahmanas, क्योंकि वो अन्न और उनकी पे सारी की सारी कृपाचार्य की, क्योंकि he was also a teacher of the Kauravas and the Pandavas, so he will take money, and then they were remained loyal to the throne, to the king who was acting Dhritarashtra, or though Kripacharya helped to kill Abhimanyu, who was Parikshit Maharaj's father, but Maharaj Yudhishthir had no ill will towards him because he knew he fought as a matter of duty, like that. And later on we saw how he left Himalayas, left for Himalayas, and left Maharaj Parikshit in the shelter of Kripacharya as his disciple. You can see the character of people at that time. So this is today's verse. So now, like I said, today is a special day, or so we will read something from Lilamrit. Lilamrit is प्रभुपाद की जीवनी जो है उसके ऊपर जो लिखा गया है उसको लीलामृत बोलते हैं। और तो आज थोड़ा सा लीलामृत से हम लोग पढ़ेंगे। और आज का जो दिन है 24 जुलाई, so 24 July 1967, Prabhupada left for India. He was in USA and he had a second heart attack. First 2 heart attacks he had, जो जलदूता में when he went to America. So he had 2 heart attacks. And then in 1967, Prabhupada again had heart attack. So today, 24 July, it's not Tithi, but the Western date, as per Western date. So today's the date Prabhupada left USA and came and left for India to recuperate, मतलब ठीक होने के लिए। उनको लगा था कि मैं भारत में जाऊंगा, और आपको पता है कि इस वक्त तो भारत में यूजुअली बहुत गर्मी होती है। So he thought he will get the sun, and sun will heal him. He will take some Ayurvedic treatment. So these 2 things he thought that sun and the Ayurvedic treatment and the general weather of India will help him recuperate faster, like that. So I want that हम लोग जो है थोड़ा सा इससे पढ़ते हैं लीलामृत से. So 1 second. So I've also got Ronnie Prabhu. 1 second. I got that thing working. Notebook. 1 second. But it is not showing me. Okay. 1 second. I got that Kindle, but I am unable to go. Where are the... Okay, so you got the place, है ना? Okay, so we'll read from what you're showing. So ये लीलामृत से पढ़ रहे हैं. ये this is I think chapter 9 जो प्रभु जी ने खोला है. So this chapter 9 and this chapter इसके मध्य से हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं. Where Prabhupada leaves for India. So यहाँ से पढ़ रहे हैं. आप में से जो पढ़ना चाहते हैं, they can raise the hand. They can read. We can read turn by turn. We'll be reading more now. There were signs that Prabhupada should be cautious about his health. He had gone through difficulty while appearing on the Ellen Berg TV show. Ellen Berg was known for sitting back, smoking a cigar, and saying outrageous, even insulting things to his guests. And if a guest became offended, Mr. Berg would provoke him all the more. It was a popular show. Before they went on the air, Mr. Berg had asked Prabhupada permission to smoke a cigar, and Prabhupada had graciously consented. Mr. Berg had introduced his guest as a real Swami. When he had asked Prabhupada why he was against sex, Prabhupada had said he wasn't. Sex should be restricted to marriage for raising Krishna-conscious children. But Mr. Berg had persisted, wanting to know what was wrong with sex outside of marriage. The real purpose of human life, Srila Prabhupada had replied, was self-realization, and one's mind is preoccupied with capturing new sex partners. Keeping the mental peace necessary for self-realization becomes impossible. Mr. Berg had agreed. In fact, his manners had been the best ever, and at the end, Prabhupada, a very charming gentleman. It was on his way home to the temple that Srila Prabhupada had said that the TV lights had caused him so much pain in his head that at one point he had thought he would not be able to continue. So, इसलिए पढ़ रहे हैं, so we understand the background of Prabhupada's heart attack, why the heart attack happened, what was happening. Then one day, Rupanuga, sitting close to Prabhupada's dais during a lecture, noticed Prabhupada's hand shaking as he spoke. Kirtanand had been there when months ago, the morning after they had made the record, Prabhupada had slept late and complained of his heart skipping and not being able to move. If I ever get badly sick, Srila Prabhupada told Kirtanand, don't call a doctor. Don't take me to a hospital. Just give me my beads and chant Hare Krishna. Swamiji's disciples were reluctant to restrain him. Kirtanand had tried at the Avalon when Swamiji had been dancing and jumping and streaming with perspiration. Kirtanand had insisted that the Kirtan stop, but the others had called him paranoid. So you can understand at the Avalon in San Francisco, when they arranged for a Kirtan night in a banquet hall where all the rock shows were supposed to happen, then Prabhupada danced and danced with people, boys and girls who were anything between 16, 17 to 20, 21, Besides, Swamiji didn't like to be restrained. And who were they to restrain him? Because the age difference is too big. He's a Swamiji from India. He's around 70 plus and 70. And then here are these youngsters who are, 17, 16, 18, 19-year-old. So they don't know what to do and, when to say no to him like that. He was Krishna's empowered representative. They're speaking about Prabhupada, able to surmount any difficulty. He was a pure devotee. He could do anything. Hadn't he often described how a pure devotee is transcendental to material pangs? Swamiji had written a letter consoling a disciple's ailing grandmother. All our ailments are due to the external body. Although we have to suffer some time from bodily inconveniences, especially in the old age, still, if we are God conscious, we shall not feel the pangs. The best thing is therefore to chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. तो ये उन्होंने किसी डिवोटी की दादी को लिखा था कि किसी डिसाइपल के जिनकी दादी बीमार थी उनको लिखा था. So now they are trying to see the same thing on Prabhupada also. The devotees figured that although Swamiji might give good instructions to someone's old grandmother, nothing what had befallen her was ever going to affect him. Of course, he referred to himself as an old man, but that was mostly in lectures to show the inevitability of old age. To the devotees, Prabhupada's health appeared strong. His eyes shone brightly with spiritual emotions. His complexion was smooth and golden, and his smile was a display of health and well-being. One time, one of the boys said that Swamiji's smile was so virile that it made him think of a bull and iron nails. Swamiji was taking cold showers, going on early morning walks around the Lower East Side, playing mridanga, eating well. Even if his disciples wanted to slow him down, what could they do? Some of his disciples had actually tried to prevent him from attending the controversial Cosmic Love-In at the East Village Theatre. But not because of his health. They had wanted to protect his US residency case. Srila Prabhupada had been invited to attend the Love-In, a fundraising show for Louis Abolofier, the Love and Peace presidential candidate. Allen Ginsberg, Timothy Leary, and others were attending, along with a full lineup of rock bands. But when Prabhupada's lawyer heard that he was going, he said it might jeopardize his visa case. Some of the boys took up the lawyer's opinion and opposed Prabhupada's plan. Prabhupada agreed that it might be best if he didn't go. But on the day of Cosmic Love-In, he changed his mind and decided to go anyway. I came to this country to preach Krishna consciousness, he declared. Now it was time to speak these LSD leaders who claimed to be spiritualists. He had been saying that although he wanted to go, he wouldn't go if his disciples forbade him. But in the end, he simply said he was going, and that was that. So this we can see his mood, Prabhupada's mood, and the disciples, the gap is too much in the age, and also spiritually too much distance. So they advise, but in the end, Prabhupada does whatever he feels good, he is doing that. And they have no such relationship to stop him. Because the early days of ISKCON, just 1 year after ISKCON was established. During the last week of May, Srila Prabhupada began to feel exhausted. He spoke of heart palpitations. Hoping that the symptoms would clear up in a day or two, Kirtanand requested Prabhupada to rest and see no visitors. But Prabhupada's condition became worse. Kirtanand. Swamiji began to complain that his left arm wasn't functioning properly. Then he began to develop a twitching in his left side, and his left arm would twitch uncontrollably. It seemed to pain him in some mysterious way, internally or psychologically. Achyutanand. It was Sunday, 2 days before Memorial Day, and we had arranged a large program in the afternoon in a hall uptown. I went up to get Swamiji. Since all the devotees were ready, Swamiji was lying down and his face was pale. He said, "Feel my heart." And I felt a quivering vibration in his chest. I went down, but didn't want to alert anyone and panic them. I went to Kirtananda and quietly said, "The Swami is having some kind of mild heart palpitations." And immediately we both flew back up. मतलब सीढ़ियों से वापस भागे. Swamiji said, "Just massage here." So I rubbed him on the chest and he showed me how. He said, "The others go and Achyutanand can stay here. If anything happens, he can call you." So the others went and did the program and I waited. Once or twice, he called me in and had me quickly rub over his chest. Then he looked up and his color had come back. I was staring with my mouth open, wondering what to do. He looked at me and said, "Why are you sitting idle? Chant Hare Krishna." During the evening, palpitations again occurred. So I slept in the room next to his. And late at night, he called me in and again had me massage. Okay, who wants to read? Yes, Ankur Prabhu? Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Kirtananand. It was on Tuesday afternoon, Memorial Day, and I was sitting with Swamiji in his room. While Kirtan was going on downstairs, the twitching began again. Swamiji's face began to tighten up. His eyes started rolling. Then all of a sudden, he threw himself back and I caught him. He was gasping, "Hare Krishna." And then everything stopped. I thought it was the last until his breathing started again. And with it, the chanting. But he didn't regain control over his body. Brahmanand. I was there along with Kirtananand. It was on Memorial Day weekend. We couldn't understand what was wrong with Swamiji. He couldn't sit up. He was moaning and nobody knew what was happening. We nursed him, myself and Kirtananand, trying all different things. I had to go out and buy a bedpan for him. Prabhupada's left side was paralyzed. He asked that a picture of his spiritual master be put on the wall in front of him, thinking that Prabhupada was preparing to leave his body and wanted to meditate at the last moment on his spiritual master. Achyutanand taped it to the door facing Prabhupada. Devotees entered the front room of the apartment and Prabhupada told them to chant Hare Krishna. Then he told them to pray to Krishna in his form of Narsimhadev, Satswarup. Swamiji said, "We should pray to Lord Narsimha, and the prayer should be, 'My master has not finished his work.' At different times, he would allow us to take turns and massage different parts of his body. Then he had us go downstairs and hold kirtan through the night. Jadurani. He taught us the prayers to Lord Narsimhadev. He said the words one by one, and I wrote them down. I called up the temples in San Francisco and Montreal and told them the prayer. Swamiji said, "You should pray to Krishna that my spiritual master has not yet completed his work, so please let him finish." Damodar. I went into the temple. No one was downstairs, so I just sat down to chant some rounds. Then a devotee came down looking very disturbed. So I asked what was going on. When he told me, I rushed upstairs. Everyone was sitting around in the second room. where they could see into Swamiji's room through the window in the wall. They were all chanting in their beads. On their beads, Jadurani was handing out little slips of paper with writing on them. Swamiji, she explained, wanted us to chant these prayers. Brahmanand, we brought the painting of Lord Narasimha into Swamiji's room, and we were all chanting. When Swamiji had to use the bedpan in front of Lord Narasimha's painting, he begged forgiveness of Lord Narasimha. He could understand that Lord Narasimha was sitting right in front of him. I saw it as a painting, but Swamiji saw it as Lord Narasimha himself sitting there. It was getting worse, total weakness and everything. I couldn't get a doctor because it was Memorial Day and everything was closed. I even called my family doctor, but he wasn't in. Everyone had gone on vacation because on Memorial Day, everyone leaves the city. I couldn't get anyone. I was calling hospitals, doctors, trying this and that, but I couldn't get anyone. Finally, I got a doctor by calling an emergency number for the New York City Medical Department. The doctor came. He was an old geezer with a real loud voice. When he saw Swamiji, he said, I think the old man is praying too much. I think he should get some exercise. He should go out for a walk in the morning. Achyutanand, the doctor didn't know very much. He said that Swamiji had a cold. I said, what do you mean? His heart is palpitating. I don't know what to do. Does he take any whiskey? I said, he doesn't even drink coffee or tea. Oh, very good, very good. Well, I think he has just got a cold. Dwarkadhish Das, he came and took a look at the place, and you could tell right away he didn't like what he saw. He thought we were just a bunch of hippies. He couldn't wait to get out of the place. But he said, oh, he has got influenza. That was a ridiculous diagnosis. And then he said, give me my money. We paid him. The doctor left and Swamiji got worse. The devotees called a second doctor who came and diagnosed Srila Prabhupada as having had a mild heart attack. He said that Prabhupada should at once go to the hospital. Max Lerner, a lawyer friend of the devotees, I got a call one day that the Swami had had a mild heart attack and I could be of some help. And at that time, they were going to take him to Bellevue Hospital. But I suggested that at least I could try to get him into a private hospital. After several hours of talking and negotiating with people at the hospital, we were able to get Swamiji into Beth Israel Hospital. Brahmanand. The day after Memorial Day, we had to arrange for an ambulance. Beth Israel had no ambulance, so I called a private ambulance company. It was all arranged with the hospital that Swamiji would arrive at 9 o'clock that morning, but the ambulance didn't come until about noon. During this time, Swamiji kept mourning. Then finally, the ambulance came, and they were horrible guys. They treated Swamiji like a bundle of cloth. I thought it would have been better if we had taken Swamiji in a cab, except for Kirtananand, who stayed in Prabhupada's hospital room as a nurse. No one else was allowed to stay. They all went back to the temple to chant through the night, as Prabhupada had requested. Kirtananand phoned Hayagriv in San Francisco and told him what had happened, how Swamiji had suddenly fallen back and cried out, Hare Krishna, and how there had been nothing for about 30 seconds and then a big gasp, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Kirtanananda told Hayagriv that the devotees in San Francisco should chant all night and pray to Lord Narasimhadev. Tava kar kamala vare nakam adbhuta shringama dalita hiranya kashipu tanubhringama keshavadhrita narhari rupa jaya jagadisha hare. Lord Narasimhadev, the half man, half lion incarnation of Lord Krishna, had appeared in another age to save his pure devotee Prahlad and kill the demon Hiranyakashipu. Prabhupada had asked his disciples to pray to Lord Narasimhadev by chanting this special mantra and thinking Our master has not finished his work. Please protect him. The boys went back to the temple and chanted together, but after a few hours they fell asleep. They wanted to rest so that they could go to the hospital the next day. Haridas, when we when we heard about it in San Francisco, there was grief and people were crying. There was a tremendous love and thinking about Swamiji and just concentration, a mass concentration of pulling him through, giving him strength and summoning the help of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya and everybody we could possibly call upon to lend their energies. People came into the temple doing rosaries and whatever faith or beliefs or trips they were on, they were directing that toward a healing. They were all chanting with us. Hayagriv, it's a night I'll never forget. We turn on the altar, lights behind the Jagannath, light candles, and chant in the flickering shadows. It is solemn chanting and even more solemn dancing. News quickly spreads down High Street, and soon the temple is crowded with others come to chant with us through the night. Mukund and Janki phoned New York, but there is no additional information. Kirtananand is spending the night in the hospital beside Swamiji's bed. No one else is being allowed in hospital regulations. Yes, everyone in New York is chanting.
Hare
We
Krishna.
chant.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. So, okay, who else want to read? Yes, Ronnie Prabhu, go ahead. So all this we see is what is happening in Prabhupada's life before that heart attack, what is happening, how Prabhupada is guiding his disciples what to do at that time. Yes.
So Prabhu, I start from here only?
Yes, you start from here. We chant past midnight.
Okay. We chant past midnight. Most of the guests leave, but none of us yet feel sleepy. The chanting overtakes us in waves. My mind wanders to Swamiji, to New York, to the future, to the past. I have to yank it back into the room to confront the present, to realize why we are here chanting, to petition Sri Krishna to spare our master a little longer, to allow him to spread Lord Chaitanya's glorious Sankirtan movement around the world. The chanting is always here, insistent. By 2 a.m., I begin to tire. I change instruments just to keep awake. Sometimes playing Vidanga, sometimes cymbals or harmonium. Many dance to stay awake. The girls serve prasadam, sliced apples. It is dangerous to sit next to the walls, an invitation to doze off. We are so frail. Hare Krishna soothes. The chanting releases us from so much needless sweating. Though it
Oh, speak little louder on the mic. Yes.
Okay. Through it, we can relieve tensions, grieve, plead, and hope. It is between 3 and 4 a.m., the most ecstatic hour, the Brahma Muhurat hour before the dawn. If he is alive at this hour, surely he will live. We sing, chant on beads, constant Hare Krishna. We chant through the usual 7 a.m. Kirtan hour and into the morning. We chant 14 hours without cessation. We cleanse the dust from the mind's mirror. We see Krishna and Swamiji everywhere. Surely now he is well. During the night, Srila Prabhupada's heart pained him. The next day he remained in critical condition. He could speak but softly and was too exhausted to converse. Skeptical of the doctors, he diagnosed himself a heart attack affecting part of his brain and thus paralyzing the left side of his body. Massage, he said, was the cure. On the morning of June 1, other disciples joined Kirtanananda in Prabhupada's room and by taking shifts were able to give Prabhupada a constant massage. They took turns massaging his head, chest, legs as he directed. This simple act drew each of them into an intimate relationship with him. When Prabhupada heard that not only in New York but in San Francisco also, the devotees had chanted and prayed all night, he expressed satisfaction, not by his usual hearty smile, but by a very slight nodding and an approving sound. Despite his weakness, he was fully conscious. The doctors, or more often their aides, took blood, gave injections, and investigated. Their diagnosis wasn't conclusive. They had plans of experimenting. Then suddenly a doctor came and announced their next move, a spinal tap. Prabhupada was too weak to discuss the pros and cons of a spinal tap. He had put himself in the care of his disciples and Krishna. The doctor didn't want to be impeded. He explained why a spinal tap was necessary, but he wasn't asking for consultation or permission. Everyone except for Kirtananda, who insisted on staying, had to leave the room while the doctor performed the spinal tap. Neither Prabhupada, who was too weak, nor his boys, who were uncertain how to act on his behalf, opposed the doctor. The devotees filed out of Prabhupada's room while, doctor, while the doctor readied the largest, most frightening needle they had ever seen. When they were allowed back, one disciple asked cautiously, "Did it hurt, Swamiji?" Srila Prabhupada, his golden-skinned form wrapped in white hospital garments and lying between the white sheets, turned slightly and said, "We are tolerant." Rupanuga. When Swamiji was first admitted to the hospital, it was very hard for me. I didn't know how I should act. I didn't have much experience with this kind of emergency. I was very uncertain as to what service to do for Swamiji. It was a frightening experience. Swamiji's life was at stake, yet his disciples didn't know what to do to save him. He lay on the bed as if at their mercy, but the hospital staff considered him their property, an old man with heart trouble, a subject of investigation. And for Swamiji's disciples, this was 100 times worse than dealing with Mr. Price and company. Now, it was not just a matter of risking money, but of risking Swamiji. Should they allow the EEG? What was an EEG? Was an operation necessary? An operation. But Swamiji had said that he should never ever be brought to a hospital. "Give me massage," was all he had said, and chant Hare Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada mentioned his preference for the Ayurvedic medical treatment available in India, some of the devotees suggested they bring a doctor from India. After considering the expense, Prabhupada decided to send a letter first. Unable to sit up or write, he slowly dictated a letter to Sri Krishna Pandit, who had given him quarters for several years in his temple in Delhi. Satsarup read it back to Prabhupada and then typed it right there in Prabhupada's hospital room. "I am writing this letter from the hospital. All of a sudden, I have developed some headache as well as throbbing of the chest. When I rub my chest, I feel some sensation in my left hand, and when I rub my left hand, I feel sensation in my chest. My left hand no more works independently. Therefore, I ask you if there is any good Vedic physician in Mathura who can send me some medicines. That is, you purchase and send them by air mail to our temple, ISKCON, 26 2nd Avenue, New York. The symptom is predominantly when I get severe pain within my head, and the trembling of the left hand is coming every 10 to or 15 minutes. I'm afraid if this is not a disease like Lakya. The boys are taking utmost care of me. There is no scarcity of care. But still, after all, this body is subject to death. I came here with great mission to execute my spiritual master's order, but my heart is stabbing me. Of course, I am not afraid of Maya. I know Maya cannot touch me, but still, if I die in this condition, my mission will remain unfulfilled. Please therefore pray to Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya, and Vrindavan Bihar to rescue me in this time. My mission is still not finished. I wish to live for a few more days. They are prepared to call an experienced Ayurvedic physician who treats such diseases, but I have not allowed the boys. But if necessary, if you can give me an expert physician who can travel here, we can send necessary money for the coming here or arrange for a ticket. You can consult the man in charge of Dhaka Shakti. At last, I may inform you that I am inclined towards Ayurvedic treatment. You can consult the Ayurvedic physician in Vrindavan, who is a Gaudiya Vaishnav. He knows me very well. He sells my books also. Two things are to be done if it is possible. To send me proper medicine and directions, that will be nice. But if I require to return, that also I can do. Please try to reply as soon as possible in English, because my students cannot read Hindi. So long as I am in bed, it's not possible to read letters. You can treat this letter very urgently, consult necessary physicians, and let me know what I am to do. In Mathura, there are undoubtedly many Ayurvedic physicians and many quacks also. Try to avoid the quacks. I would have returned to India immediately, but the doctors say it is risky. If need be, I shall return as soon as I get strength to take the strain of the journey. I repeat my symptoms so that you can take necessary care. All of a sudden, I developed some throbbing between the heart and the stomach about 4 days ago. I was so exhausted, it was like fainting. Then I consulted the doctor, who came and gave me medicine, but it was of no good effect. Therefore, my students at once transferred me to the hospital, where they are spending more or less 400 rupees daily. There is no question of neglect. All scientific treatments is going on, but I think Ayurvedic medicine will be proper. Therefore, I request you to take immediate steps and reply me. I hope this letter will convince you to the actual position. While reading this letter, you may consult some friends who know English very well so that he'll read it correctly and reply correctly. There is no scope for corresponding in Bengali or in Hindi. By Krishna's grace, on the afternoon of Srila Prabhupada's second day in the hospital, he showed slight movement. She showed slight improvement. His heart was still causing him pain. His facial expressions remained grave, with never a smile, but he was a bit stronger. The interns, nurses, and doctors came and went on schedule, treating him impersonally. One doctor did seem a little interested in what Prabhupada was all about, and at Prabhupada's request, Ketananda played a taped lecture for the doctor. He listened politely, but then said, "It doesn't ring a bell." The doctor said that he wanted to run a few more tests and that Swamiji might be able to leave after a few weeks if all went well. Srila Prabhupada tried speaking to the doctor, wanting to explain about Krishna. Radharani had brought two of her paintings to the hospital room, one of Radha and Krishna, and the other of a fierce half-lion, half-man incarnation, Lord Narasimha, tearing apart the demon Hiranyakashipu. Speaking in a very low voice, Prabhupada said that these two pictures show how God is many-sided. Here he is in his loving exchange, and here also we see that anger comes from Krishna or God. The doctor politely said that he had his own philosophy and that Swamiji shouldn't be preaching while in such a weak health. He should rest. Advising the disciples not to allow their guru to speak, the doctors excused himself and continued his rounds. Srila Prabhupada, with his slight improvement, expressed more disapproval of being in the hands of the hospital personnel. They weren't able to do anything, he said. Krishna was in control. If Krishna wants to kill you, then no one can save you. But if Krishna wants to save you, then no one can kill you. Damodar. I was there when a doctor came in to check his reflexes. There was the usual tapping with a little rubber hammer on his knee. That kind of thing. Swamiji was visibly annoyed with this man's coming in and tapping him all over. He was capable of diagnosing and giving the prescription for the cure, and it it annoyed him that these men who obviously didn't know what they were doing were coming in and interfering with the process of recuperation. Achyutananda, the nurses would always let the door slam, and every time it slammed, Swamiji would wince. He said, "Tell her not to slam the door." She would say, "Okay," and then she would let it slam again. Srila Prabhupada began sitting up in bed and taking prasad from the temple, supplemented by some of the vegetarian items on the hospital menu. He would say a prayer and offer the hospital food to the picture of his spiritual master. The devotees would sit at his feet, watching him, and as he then mixed with his right hand the carrots, peas, and mashed potatoes, and he would always distribute some of his food into the hands of his disciples. Jaduvani. We brought him many different kinds of fruits. We told him that we had brought apples, but he was so tired, he only said, "Oh," and seemed disinterested. We told him we had brought oranges, but again, "Oh." He gave so many tired ohs. He seemed disinterested. Finally, I said, "We brought you watermelons," and immediately his face lit up. "Oh." Rotating in 4-hand shifts, 2 devotees at a time were always with Prabhupada. Although awake, he would remain silent for long intervals, but massaging always continued. Except when he was asleep, gradually the paralysis on his left side went away. Once, while Srila Prabhupada was sitting up in bed, one boy massaging his leg and another softly, almost consolingly, stroking the back of his neck. Prabhupada remarked, as if he were not sick, he would have considered the massaging and rubbing too familiar. Damodar, I was massaging Swamiji's temples with one hand and my thumb on one temple and other finger on the other temple. I was massaging. Swamiji kept saying, harder, harder, and I would squeeze harder. I thought, gee, I don't know if I should squeeze so hard because he's sick, but he kept insisting, harder, harder. Purushottam, I was massaging Swamiji's head and I started singing the chant Shri Krishna Chaitanya. When I started singing, a very beautiful smile came on his face. Although I did it only briefly, he took pleasure in hearing. He seemed to take it that I was ministering to him just by singing Shri Krishna Chaitanya. As Srila Prabhupada gained strength, his disciples were ready with questions. Purushottam asked, Swamiji, in the scriptures...
Leave it, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So we are through with our time of 1 hour. We said the class will go. A very wonderful, part of Prabhupada's initial days in America. और ये आगे पढ़ेंगे तो हम पढ़ेंगे किस तरह से उनके जो disciples हैं, especially Gargmuni Prabhu, he kidnapped Prabhupada from the hospital virtually against doctor's advice, and he just kidnapped him from the hospital because Prabhupada said no more injections, and they told him we'll take you to X-ray and then say where do we put the injection. Then Prabhupada said I don't want to be here, because he felt they are just experimenting on him. They don't know how to treat him properly. And तो इस सारे के अंदर then Prabhupada came back. Then he went to California. Then they not California, they got him a house near a beach जहाँ प्रभुपाद आराम कर सकें. और उसके बाद आज के दिन 24 जुलाई 1967 then Prabhupada left for USA. So you see how much he struggled. Why I wanted all of us to read that the life of a Bhagavat is not so easy. It is not easy or cheap to become a Bhagavat or a Mahabhagavat. And we can see कि प्रभुपाद की उस वक्त consciousness क्या थी. It's open book. What is being written is not written by disciples to over glorify their spiritual master. What is happening, they are writing. How he's offering prayer, how he has to use the bedpan, and there's a picture of nursing there, and he's saying, sorry that I have to urinate in front of your picture. And how he was offering that hospital food to his picture of his spiritual master. And what was his consciousness, how he was trying to preach to the doctors, और किस तरह से उन्होंने अपने डिसाइपल्स को बताया कि क्या प्रार्थना करनी है गुरु महाराज के लिए, कि हमारे गुरु महाराज का मिशन अभी पूरा नहीं हुआ है, उनको थोड़ा समय और रहने दीजिए. लाइक दिस. तो ये सारी चीजें हम सीख सकते हैं कि कैसे जब इस तरह की कठिनाइयां आती हैं तो हमारी चेतनता कैसी होनी चाहिए. और बहुत सुंदर चैप्टर है, सारे चैप्टर लीलामृत के बहुत सुंदर है. मैं पढ़ रहा था, मुझे लग रहा था हमें हफ्ते में एक दिन लीलामृत पढ़नी चाहिए. So this is the picture. जब आज के दिन की पिक्चर है 24 जुलाई, जो ब्लैक सूट में खड़े हैं, जिनके बारे में आप इतना ज्यादा पढ़ रहे थे, कीर्तानंद, तो जो ब्लैक सूट में है with a shaved head, he is Kirtanand. He came with Prabhupada to India. He was the first disciple Prabhupada brought. So this is Prabhupada in New York, living for India. So from 67 to 2023. कितने साल हो गए? So this is the picture, and and we can see, like I said, how a Mahabhagavat, that platform of Mahabhagavat is not so cheap. And his life, whether he's sick, whether he's very sick, he's having heart attack, or he's in his good health, the life is led by Guru Sadhu Shastra. Whole life is Shastra. This is the life of a Mahabhagavat. So I thought it's a good day to read something from Lilamrit and think कि प्रभुपाद ने कितनी स्ट्रगल करके इस्कॉन को बनाया, कितनी स्ट्रगल करके उन्होंने सारी पुस्तकें लिखी, और ये भागवतम, भगवद गीता, चैतन्य चरितामृत और इतने सारे ग्रंथ हमें दिए. सो कम से कम एज हिज ग्रैंड डिसाइपल्स इतनी तो हमारी ड्यूटी बनती है कि रोज उन पे नजर मारें और 2-4 पन्ने पढ़ें and feel gratitude कि how one person changed the destiny of the whole planet. This is the potency of a Vaishnava. One Vaishnava can change the destination of the whole planet. So we'll just end the session now. So we were, I think 20, 21, 18 are still there. So thank you so very much. And I pray that all of you develop very good relationship with Prabhupada, have a very nurturing, holistic relationship with Prabhupada, and the Prabhupada bless all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.